Hey, sports fans! Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show coming at you, as always, on a Monday midday on the West Coast. And as always, I'm joined by Andrew Combo Salop to discuss the latest and greatest in the NBA. Combo, what's up, my man?
What is up, Coach Nick? I was just making sure the mic check is on. Can you hear me? Can
Yep.
B-Ball Breakdown Live Show Nation hear me? We're here, man.
Yeah, you sound great, look great.
Okay.
All is great.
Thank you.
You know,
a lot to talk about today. A lot of NBA stuff going on, Coach Nick.
I guess so. I mean, we talked just a couple days ago too. If you missed our Saturday show, it was a really good one, and we're back again now. And so we got to find a whole new list of things to discuss. Never a loss. I thought maybe we could start with the All Star starters and who got picked and who didn't get picked, and figure out if anyone got snubbed, I suppose is the word. What do you think about that so far?
To me, the biggest snub was Cade Cunningham because, Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell were named All-Star starters, and they're having a great season, and they're having more team success than Cade Cunningham. But Cade Cunningham is averaging more points, rebounds, and assists than Donovan Mitchell, and he went into the Garden twice and beat Jalen Brunson and the Knicks. And honestly, when I watch him play basketball, he's just a better all-around basketball player than those two guys, in my opinion. And I would build a franchise around him. That's partly because he's a little bit younger, but I just really like the way that Cade Cunningham plays basketball.
Yeah, well, I guess we have that. We can refresh that argument about whether Donovan Mitchell's the top 15 in the NBA, as that triggered a lot of people last year. Especially if Cade has jumped over him, and then that definitely pushes him down to like 16th at best. But there's no question that this is something related to the records, right? Like, the Cavs are having a better season. The Knicks are having a better season. So the Pistons are going to get a little bit of that snub for the starters. I mean, I think it's clear that Cade is the first sub in, right? Or one of the first guys.
I hope so, man, because, I think the other snub is probably Wemby on the West. And there's no guarantee that these guys will be in the All-Star game at all, which is kind of a crazy thing to think about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think that Cade deserves a video. So.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'd really be interested in I mean, I watch all your videos, Coach Dick, but I would really be interested in watching that one. That'd be good.
Yeah.
I mean, the way he controls the game with his poise and pace is phenomenal.
Yeah. And he just kind of goes about his business. Nothing seems to bother him too much. So he's got a really good game. So Cade Cunningham could have started perhaps over either Mitchell or Brunson. Although, again, I don't think anyone's going to argue that either of those two players, deserved it, right? Brunson and Mitchell are playing great. Their teams are playing great. So, it's not like they didn't deserve to be an All-Star.
That is fair.
That is fair. Now we got Tatum and Giannis and Cat. So the Knicks get two starters, which I think was expected. Cat's having a great year offensively, certainly. So I think probably, and I don't know if anyone else deserves to get above the other three, right?
No, I think those three are good. And I told you, Giannis is honestly having his best season, even though that's a little bit under the radar because of the team success is not as successful as his MVP year.
Yeah. Okay.
At this point in the regular season. Yep.
Yeah. He's eliminated pretty much all threes. And he's improved the mid-range game, and he's gotten, that's become a harder thing to defend. So that's good. Okay, so that's a good one. Now let's go over to the West because we have Steph, SGA, LeBron, KD, and Jokic. Anybody there that we feel like should have gotten in the starting lineup?
I mean, Wemby is probably having a better season than KD as of right now. Is he a better player than KD right now? I don't think so. Not yet. But I mean, his two-way impact is ridiculous. And where would this Spurs team be without him? I'm not mad that they're rolling out with the OG Big Three, though. Steph has to be on this team. LeBron and KD, it might be their last one where they're all starting. But I like that idea. I think it'll be cool in the Bay Area.
I guess. I think at some point these things drag on a little too long, a year too late. And I wonder if this might be the first year of being too long. Like, they're going to be, all-stars anyway. It's like maybe let somebody else have that, that position. And Wemby, right now he's averaging 24.5 points, 10.8 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 3.9 blocks, just blocking everything near him, while shooting, 35% from three on 9 attempts per game. Like, he's doing everything. The argument again is he's young. He'll have plenty of opportunities. He'll start, a dozen All-Star games. So it's like, what's the difference? But to me, it feels like, he should. Let's see. He should start. At some point, Katie, those guys need to fade a little bit.
I don't like that point at all. Not your point. The point that people make that somebody's going to have a lot of opportunity in the future. No, I believe that if you deserve it right now, you should get it right now. Like that's how it should be. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, I'm going to check real quickly. Let me look at KD's numbers. I'm sure they're awesome. Let me just look real quick. So Kevin Durant is he's averaging 27 a game. I mean, it's crazy at 34 after like major injuries. 27 points, 6.4 rebounds, 4.1 assists. He's shooting almost 39.4% from three and doing his mid-range damage. So, he's having an incredibly efficient year. Their record is not as great as they like it to be, but at some point, and like LeBron's numbers are down. Like he'd probably be the one guy, but I get it. Like you're not going to not start LeBron in an All-Star game, right? No matter what.
I guess it really comes down to the fan vote, right? When it comes to the starters.
Yeah. Well, isn't it a three-pronged attack now with the starters?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, so it's always going to be a bit of a popularity contest as well. So at some point, though, I mean, we're on the precipice here of transitioning from the old guard to the new, and that's a lot of anxiety, I think, around the ratings. Who's going to pick up the torch properly? Can anybody do that? Is Cade Cunningham going to be able to sort of command that space that LeBron was in? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Is it a personality thing that you need? It's an interesting question.
It feels like it's probably four guys that could do it: Anthony Edwards, Wemby, Luka Doncic, or SGA, right? Those are the guys. I mean, Tatum is already here. I mean, he seems like he's peak prime Tatum. So I don't know if that's ever going to happen. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Tatum is probably maximized his abilities. It's like that he deserves all the credit in the world. I think he's going to end up having that moment where he's just not going to get that next step to being the top of the league. He's always going to be the fifth guy or whatever.
Yeah, and it's interesting. The guy I didn't mention, who's the best player in the league, clearly, Jokic. It doesn't seem like he'll ever be the face of the league.
Yeah, I guess you got to kind of want it to some degree to do that,
right.
And he certainly doesn't want it. But continues to just roll out 30-point triple doubles. The guy is the GOAT. I mean, he's gonna be the GOAT. And there's an interesting aspect to his defense, which I just saw another.
Wait, you think he's gonna be the greatest basketball player of all time?
I mean, I think if he continues this and he does this for several more, a few more years in his prime, like I don't know how I guess he's going to need to win how many more titles? He's going to have to win 3 titles probably to maybe be considered that, right? You got to get 3.
Somebody put on the TikTok camera. This is good short form content right here. I like that take.
I had said the same thing about Luka because Luka was threatening averaging a 30-point triple double, and it's like, hell, look how young he is. He could do that for 10 straight years. And if he did that, then you have to be the GOAT, right? If you average a 30-point triple double for 10 straight years, you're the GOAT.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, team success does matter. Somebody will point to Jordan getting 2 3-peats, right? That is no easy feat. 1 3-peat is no easy feat. And then obviously all the individual accolades he has and his dominance.
Right. Never lost finals, was in finals.
Yeah. And then you got to deal with LeBron's longevity. Will Jokic play that long? That's another thing that people might argue. So I definitely see what you're saying, though. People argue that he's not top 10. I think he's top 10 for sure.
For sure. No, Jokic is going to be top 3, I think, when all is said and done. I think you have to put him there. Now, the thing with his defense is, he tends to ramp up his intensity later on in the game so he can maybe conserve his fouls. He's got a great ability to block shots and recover those, which is, I'm going to do a video on that soon. And he has good hands where he can strip on the way up and get steals, or those are also block shots sometimes. So I just think that his defense, while isn't as stellar as like Wemby, is fine. But that's why I think Wemby is going to ultimately eclipse all of them, because defensively he is going to be more impactful than anybody probably on the court ever.
Yeah, he'll never be the passer that Jokic is. And to your defensive point, I think Jokic is way better defensively than people give him credit for. Watching him in Paris, I noticed that he can even switch out on smalls and make it tough for him where he's moving his hands, he's playing smart. I seen him, lock up Patty Mills in a clutch situation when Serbia played Australia. I know it's Patty Mills. It's not SGA or Anthony Edwards. But I just like the way that Jokic plays defense more than other people do, in my opinion. Like, I think he's underrated defensively.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's a looks thing to some degree, and listen, we'll find clips of Jared Allen, which we'll talk about in a minute, getting scored on over and over again, like we saw against the Rockets. It's like that happens too to those guys who are involved in a lot of plays around the rim. There tends to be like, you can identify a lot of times when I'm looking at, okay, here's a team that's struggling defensively, for instance. Okay, let's start looking at all the scores against them. Let's look at the patterns. And sometimes you see like there's a certain player who's always involved in those plays that give up the baskets. And you're like, okay, that, there's something going on here. He's not making plays. He's not effective. Like Sabonis jumped out at me when Mike Brown got fired, and I went through some of that footage. Their defense wasn't good, and they would just attack Sabonis in the pick and roll, and he couldn't have enough of an effect to stop those shots. And that's a really big thing, which is why the Cleveland Cavaliers were doing so well. But I got a dirty little secret about them. I don't know if you're prepared. Are you sitting down?
I am sitting down. I'm thinking about getting a standing operation here, though. What if I just stood there?
I need one of those where the thing goes up and down. It seems like it's expensive and hard to install, but I need one of those. But go ahead. So the Cavaliers have lost 3 in a row.
Yes, they have.
And 2 of those were to the Houston Rockets, who are really kind of coming along very nicely. Let me get the schedule and results.
They could throw waves of youth and athleticism on the defensive end, unlike any other team in the NBA.
Yeah. So they've lost 3 in a row, 4 out of 6, 5 out of 8, and then after that long winning streak they had. But I'm looking at the defense, right? And they're because the offense looks okay. Like, they're scoring, it's fine. Remember, they were also missing Evan Mobley for a bunch of those games that they lost recently. So not the last one though. And I'm starting to think, okay, it looks okay as far as offensive rating. We're looking at the stats, but the defense was troubling. The defensive rating was not good at all for those 3 games. So I'm like, okay, let me go back a little bit farther. Let me figure out, when did this all start happening? Is it only related to Mobley being out? And then, but guess what their offensive rating is, or their rank is, their defensive rating rank over the last 15 games of the season. You know what it is?
What is it?
25th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And they were winning.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm right. I'm sorry. I thought I had the wrong thing. 117. They
were actually, in the beginning of that stint, they were actually still winning.
Right.
If you go 15 games.
So they were getting by on their good looks. They're getting by on scoring and overwhelming with their awesome scoring backcourt and Mobley's improvement, like they were doing. But this is not good. Like, you can't be and their record is way too gaudy to have a 25th ranked defense over the last 15 games. So it's a real concern. I would think they're 10-5 over those games, but if they don't figure this out sooner than later, they're in trouble. When I went through the Rockets game and looking at like how that was happening was, Mobley could have been a little bit rusty, right? And they were kind of going at him and getting some buckets, but he's just involved in a lot because he's active. Allen wasn't as effective as I'd seen him. People were scoring on the pick and roll stuff with him and playing the ball screener a bit. But there's a weak spot, I think, in the Cavs, and that is that they have certain defenders that they can isolate and break down. Guys like Niang, Ty Jerome. I'm thinking of somebody else as well, where it's just a bit of a weak spot that teams might begin to kind of try and space the floor and go at them. And if they force rotations, they can get the good shots that way as well, which is what happened. So that's an interesting issue. Now, Niang. Wait, did I say Niang? Niang, Ty Jerome.
And you didn't mention the backcourt, which is obviously really dynamic on offense, but they're probably not the best defensive backcourt in the league, right?
I didn't even see much of that, though, in last night's game. So they escaped on that end, which they can do that. Niang had 21 points, so he was shooting really well, which is important because when they throw him out there, I see him get lost a lot on defense. It's not a good look for them. And if he's not filling the ball up on the other end, then he's kind of unplayable. But I suspect that he gave up, I don't know if he gave up 21 points, so he might still been a net positive, and it was a very close game down to the end. But those are those moments where those good teams are going to look at that lineup, and not fear the defense because there's areas they can attack individually.
Yeah, and on top of that, the 3-point shooting is down lately. Over the past 7 or 8, I believe it's 37%, and I think they were shooting better than that in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, well, there's a way to check that as well. I mean, if we go to the old team shot dashboard, I should check that. So
what are they, 3 of 5, I think, over the last 8? Or is it
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right to me. No, I lost my tab. Here it is. So last 3 in a row, they won 2. They lost that one. So last 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They've lost 5 out of the last 8. Yeah.
Right. They're 3 and they're 3 and 5 over the last 8. Yeah, and I think they're shooting 37% from 3.
Yeah. So if I go the last 8 games, well, hang on. Let me just do the whole season. So the overall whole season, the Cavaliers still lead the league with about almost 40% from 3-point range, and they are top 7 in frequency. But if you go to the last 8 games, let me look at that real quick. That would be interesting. The last 8 games, they are shooting. Down there. Let's see, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26. 15th, they're average, exactly average 15th in 3-point shooting, under 37%.
Right.
And the frequency is still up there, second in the league.
What is it? I'm just curious. What is it exactly? 36 point.
36.8.
Yeah, right.
It was right around average. They're shooting about average from the league average for percentage, which is okay, and that's fine. That happens.
If your volume is high, but you're shooting average, that's still good, right?
Yeah, that's not what's hurting them. I don't think. I think what's hurting them is defense.
Okay.
And that's what they've been hanging their hat on with that big line of backcourt. With Allen and Mobley. So, it could very well just be like the Blues, the January Blues, when they're going to get closer to the playoffs, get that energy back up, and just start, that's a lot of it's energy for those guys. And we'll see them improve. I would be hard pressed to think that, Kenny isn't looking at this and realizing it, but it's a concern because it's so low. They're 25th out over 15 games. 15 games is a pretty big sample size. And that's certainly worthy of concern.
Yeah. And Celtics are looking better lately. So that's another thing that Cleveland has to think about. But obviously everything comes from within and they have to fix some things within their own team. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting what happens in the East. Lakers are looking better. Celtics are looking better. Are we getting Lakers versus Celtics in the finals? Who knows, man?
I don't know. Well, we got that game the other night, and, the Lakers took care of business pretty striking.
And AD's telling Shams he needs a center. What do you feel about that?
Well, they throw Vanderbilt back out there.
He's actually really good. I mean, obviously he doesn't shoot the 3, but he can make reads on offense. I've seen him make some good passes, and then he changes things defensively, and the team seems healthier and more defensively inclined than it has been this season.
For sure. I mean, he was making great plays. That said, on offense, they're going to ignore him, and it's going to bog down like it was before. So it's a problem. So they have to make a decision, with Rui, who's going to get those minutes. Now when he's coming back, and it's a problem that I believe you should be able to fix it. Vanderbilt should be able to be passable from 3. He'll never have the gravity though. That's the problem, right? Even if he starts to make 37% of those threes, they're not going to come out and guard him, and so they're going to get in the way of everybody else. So that's an interesting issue.
AD might need to shoot a couple more threes.
Who?
AD might need to shoot a couple more threes.
Yikes. So that's not happening. I mean, I know I checked it not long ago, but let me look real quick because last I checked, it was broken. Let's see here. Unless I'm wrong, let's see. Anthony Davis is shooting 30% on 2 attempts per game. So, that's not gravity either.
Not good, Bob.
No, because it's it's an interesting dichotomy, right? You get the Draymonds who, he hit 40% on wide open threes last year because they're wide open and they're just simply not going to move closer to him and give Steph more space. I don't think AD is going to get, more gravity either if he starts making more of those. But I've never been sold on AD's 3-point shot ever anyway. And so that's the problem there. And so you got to have someone that, commands that gravity. So do they want? That's why Rui ends up being somebody I think who can do that. Although let me check. I feel I don't know if his averages are that great either right now. Let's look. Rui is shooting. I don't have total recall of everyone in the league's 3-point percentage. Yeah, he's at 41%. So he's a guy that they'll run out to and have to get there. So JJ is going to have to figure out how they want to platoon that, I guess.
Yeah, JJ has a tough job. As we see, we've seen coaches get fired from the Lakers, but it is not an easy job. It is not an easy job.
No, a lot of pressure in LA. And don't forget, if you want your question answered, the best way to do that is on the Super Chat version on the YouTube side. So if you're over on Twitter, come over to YouTube and listen and watch the show. And you can ask a question. We'll put it up on the screen. We'll give you lots of love. It'll really help us keep the show going. So, that always helps us drive the conversation. If you want to go somewhere, that's how we do it. Anyhow, and I do see a question of why does there have to be something wrong with the Cavs? Maybe I didn't hear the explanation from a few minutes ago. Well, the reason why there's a problem with the Cavs is that their defense, the rating is plummeting, over a big sample size. So the Rockets need some love too. They need some hype. I think that no one's paying attention to them enough. But the Clippers.
The Clippers are 6-1 since Kawhi came back.
Yeah, and Kawhi came back. Capital C, capital B.
Yeah, they're doing something weird with his minutes. They're putting him in shifts, like it's soccer or hockey or.
Go on. Like I haven't noticed.
Yeah, they're doing a weird the way they're using him, the way they're subbing him in is a better way to put it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, let's go over to the popcorn machine and see what this looks like for him. So where is he? Kawhi Leonard played. So he played about 8 minutes in the first quarter, and then he comes out and he starts the second quarter and plays about 9 minutes or 8 minutes, and then he comes out and then he starts this third quarter and he plays about 8 minutes, and then he didn't play the fourth quarter at all. I guess they were up big. Or they weren't up big. He didn't play the fourth quarter.
Yeah, minutes restriction.
Interesting. Okay, so that's different. Let me go one more game back here. Let's go to the Clippers here. One day, popcornmachine.net will be able to choose by team. Let's look at this one. So the game before that against the Wizards, which I don't know how indicative that's going to be, but again, he played his first stint about 8 minutes the first quarter. Then he played 8 minutes starting the second quarter, and then came out, and then. Yeah, it's same idea. 8 minutes of the third, and then he didn't play the fourth. So that must be what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize that.
Huh. Yeah, and then James Harden scoring more lately with Kawhi. It's been interesting. He deserves to be an All-Star. James Harden.
Oh, okay. Go on.
No, just his impact on winning with that team. I mean, he was playing more of a point guard role before Kawhi came back, and now he's taken on even more scoring. And I think Norman Powell has been getting a lot of the praise, and he has been playing like an all-star at times, but everything runs through Harden, and he's a huge reason why this team has been successful this year.
Yeah. I'm working on that video. It's in my mind right now. I'm going to see if I can't get down there and maybe get an interview with him. So working on that, and we'll see. Because I think, people have forgotten about the Clippers in a big way. And, go figure. They are, let me just tell you where they are.
Harden interviews are good because he doesn't do a lot of them.
Yeah, I did one with him once.
Yeah, he doesn't do a lot of, especially longer form stuff.
Yeah.
It's rare.
Well, it was a funny story. He was playing with the Rockets, and they were practicing at UCLA, doing a shoot-around, which, remember those days when they did shoot-arounds? Like, I don't think anybody does those anymore. I don't think there's any media availability on those anymore.
They're supposed to.
I don't know. I mean, I think they have the choice. I think more and more teams are not doing it. I think they just got frustrated with having to deal with the press, whatever. Go figure. But I can remember he was sitting all the way the other side of the gym, and everyone's taking their shoes off and kind of winding down. And I'm like, kind of half wandering over there, and I'm like, "Hey, you want to do an interview?" And he kind of just sort of stared at me blankly, and he's not saying anything. So I'm getting a little closer, and then I don't know. Next thing I'm sitting next to him, and we're talking about how he plays. It was great.
That was a weird reaction, though, from him. Just blankly.
I mean, I don't know. It was weird. Maybe he eventually did a little wave or something, but it was funny. He was probably figuring, well, am I gonna, do I have the balls enough to go over there and actually ask or something? So, I don't know. And maybe he knew a little bit what I did. So I will see. But hopefully it'll be a little easier this time because I've done one, and he'll know the kind of questions I ask, which are, I ask about, real fundamentals, footwork.
You're not going to be asking James about his nightlife.
I will not be asking about that. Don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Everyone deserves.
Right.
Hey, we all have in the Constitution. We all have the right to the pursuit of happiness.
That's right.
Who am I to get in the way? So, at any rate, that is that. So we'll look at the Rockets, but we'll look at the Clippers, and certainly there's some people who have been forgotten, and there's no question Kawhi and Harden are the two guys that have been forgotten. You think that Harden is going to make the All-Star game?
Oh yeah, he has to, or that's the biggest snub.
Okay,
it doesn't. Yeah.
All right, so we should see that. That's interesting. I mean, we're getting to the end of this era. It's interesting. We'll be a little sad.
Yeah, with Harden and KD and Steph and LeBron, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, is that everybody? Harden, LeBron, KD.
Oh, you're forgetting about Russ. Russ is not going to make it.
Russ is not going to make it. No, he doesn't have the numbers.
Yeah.
Unless it was like an injury and then like they kind of, whatever, but like still, I don't think so. But yeah. But like I said, I've been thinking about that idea from last show where we talked about we should put them all on the same team and let them compete for a season in the NBA.
Yeah, Steph, and then CP3 also, right?
Sure. Yeah. So it's KD, Russ, Harden, LeBron, Steph.
You gotta give him a role guy like Draymond.
CP3. All right, Draymond. Yeah. I mean, hell, throw Tristan Thompson out there if you want to. I don't know. We'll see how, for old time's sake. Is there anybody else? I mean, Al Horford. Is that it?
Jeff Green, role player. Jeff Green.
Jeff Green. Is he still playing?
Yeah, he's with the Rockets.
Oh, okay, right. Alan Tran, first super chat. Thank you so much, Alan. Always great to see you, best friend.
That's a good question. It's a good question.
Yeah. Any opinions on Draymond's apology to Jordan Poole? Personally, I think he truly is sorry, but not for punching him, but for the backlash and the fallout. Yeah, it's interesting because this was all coming to a head way before it actually happened, the punch. Like they had been going at each other in practices and being kind of really disrespectful. So this was sort of a thing that, sort of had been festering for a while during that season. And the problem we have here is that Draymond wouldn't really apologize maybe until just whatever he did that whatever it was. Was it a tweet or was it Instagram? I think it was a tweet.
Oh, no. It was it was I think a tweet reply, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I really am sorry, whatever Draymond said. And he was really combative at the beginning of last year or this year when they were asking about it to follow up, and he really wouldn't. What do I have to be sorry for? What did I do? Like something like that. He kind of had that take on it, and it was like, well, that whole season kind of got torpedoed because of that, and maybe it was because there wasn't enough repairing of the psyches, when a team goes through something like that. And, so maybe finally upon enough reflection, he's really getting to that point. It kind of seems sincere, right? In a way, even though, it's the kind of thing that needed to be done in person. And by the way, it was in response to asking Jordan Poole how he felt about playing against his old teammates when he's with Washington. And he said, what did he say? He said, I really love most of those guys there. Isn't that what he said?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and it clearly, and obviously Draymond knew what he meant and was talking about. Now, because a lot of those guys on the Warriors are very nice guys and great teammates. So it's clear, of course, you'd have good, relationships with them. But if Draymond felt like he had to respond to that like that on a tweet, then it's possible that he never really did it in person to Poole. Does that sound fair?
Oh, in person, yeah. No, I don't think they've talked, and I don't think Jordan Poole talks about it publicly, which is fine. And I don't think Jordan Poole has to.
Yeah, and he's not absolved of everything. Like he was an instigator times 10 in those practices. I mean, no one like that. So
you kind of sucker punch them. No matter what you're saying to somebody, you should never sucker punch somebody with their hands down.
No question. That was all part of the problem. I mean, there was a ratcheting up that both people were involved in. And
like it would have been okay if they were both ready to fight. Like I'd be like, okay, then it was, both their faults. But when you sucker punch somebody, I mean,
right,
it's really all on Dre to me. I mean,
this wasn't like one practice where they got into a back and forth and trash talk or whatever. This was over a period of time. And at some point, it's like, there could be some self-reflection on Poole's take as well, and just sort of realize, I was saying a lot of inflammatory things. So again, it doesn't justify Draymond punching him. And so, but I think the point then becomes, because of this lack of ability to kind of reflect on this, both sides, like they couldn't come together, the team couldn't come together. It really was a thing that affected that team the rest of that year, and leading to them, finally trading Poole. So, all the coaches out there and everybody, it's like, this happened to one of my teams as well, where we had a fight in front of the bench going into a timeout in the middle of a game. And, I had the counselor of the school, like, make them sit down with each other and talk, because they had both come to me immediately after that when I sat down with them and say, oh, we're fine. I'm like, no, you're not, this doesn't become fine within a day, And so it's important. You got to be able to have those meetings, and it takes over a period of time before you can kind of find some equilibrium emotionally between teammates. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Did you ever witness anything like that on any of the teams you played on?
Yeah, fights for sure. Never a suck. What?
Yeah, but a lot of times I know what you mean. Like they go for the rebound, the elbow, whatever. Now they're squared off. This was
Yeah,
different.
yeah. This is never a sucker punch like that. I've seen two guys fighting.
Remind me. I'm trying to remember the footage now.
I mean, also the foot. Speaking of the footage, that's part of the reason it was so bad because it came out. This wouldn't have been as bad if it never came out, even if we heard about it. Actually, seeing something makes it so much worse, and it makes it a lot worse for Jordan, right? Because he's the guy who got knocked out, and it's public image, and it's what people think about when they think of him now.
Well, yeah, but it has to be just as bad for Draymond, negatively, right? I mean, geez. We see him violently assaulting somebody he could have gotten arrested for.
Who do you think it's worse for? I don't know. Public.
Draymond.
Okay.
I don't know.
Public perception wise, not good for either. I'll tell you that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think obviously we were going to sympathize with Jordan Poole. I'm trying to remember how it was. So they had squared off, and then they were I know no one actually stepped in between them. They were jawing at each other, right?
Yeah. Nobody. They were just talking to each other, and Jordan was like in a position where he never thought anybody was going to get to blows or fight, and then Draymond just lunged at him.
Right. And then he went into the wall or whatever. He fell back and toward the wall.
The stanchion. I think the stanchion.
Or stanchion. Is that what it was? Something like that. Yeah. It might have been next to stanchion anyway. And the one thing that struck out at me was, no one was really trying to separate them or stop them and saying, hey, this, it's time. It's like, you don't have to. And I have a feeling it was probably had gone on for several minutes, and they're both from Michigan. There could have been that whole rivalry, Michigan State, right? And, big brother kind of thing, so all those things factor into that. But again, you have to be able to come to terms with that and somehow have that breakthrough emotionally with each other for that forgiveness. And it seems clear that never happened. And here we are. And now it is kind of sad that Draymond even did that publicly. You know what I mean? Like, it seems,
Was that the end of the Warriors dynasty?
Could be. Yeah. Was that so they won in 2021?
Yeah.
Right.
And now that was the next year.
It was the next year, right?
It was the next year early.
What is time? I don't even know anymore. But yeah. So yeah, you could probably argue that was the beginning of the end, because remember, Jordan Poole had a really nice run, was primed to be part of that 2.0, right? Remember the light years, and it kind of fell apart from there because Jordan, you saw he couldn't perform anymore for the Warriors.
And another thing is Draymond kept getting suspended after that for things.
Yeah, right. Gosh, that's a really good point. So yeah, all those things factored in, and then they traded. What was actually the trade? I'm kind of curious what the trade was with Poole, because I think that ended up being let's see, real quick. Let's see if it was worth it for the Warriors. They traded him to Washington. Where's the trade? Oh, I scrolled too far. Okay. Him and Patrick Baldwin Jr. and Ryan Rollins and a 2027 second round pick go to a 2030 first round pick. Oh, for Chris Paul, a second round pick and a 2030 first round pick. Wait. Okay. So Chris Paul comes to the Warriors for a rental, and then they trade him. Who do they turn Chris Paul into? Let's see. Or was that a free agent? Did he leave? Let's see here. Because he was waived by the Warriors. So they turned Poole into basically nothing, like maybe a second round pick and a 2030 first round pick, which we'll have to see what happens. So yeah, they really didn't get much for it when they probably could have, should have. Poole was worth something at some point before the fight, certainly. Right. But the idea being that they never should have had to trade him, and they should have been able to continue on his path. And remember, he was following the steps of, dare I say, Curry, off dribble threes, incredibly skilled moves to the basket, crazy passes. Like, he was in some weird trajectory, right? On that, like that.
Yeah. I mean,
okay. Alan has details. Poole pushed him first. Okay, that sounds familiar now, where they were jawing, and they pushed him, and then Dre steps backwards on it and then hits him. So remember, yeah. So there was part of that. I think Poole is not exonerated completely for that, the whole thing. So that sounds right. Do you remember that? Remember the push?
A little bit vaguely. I've seen that video a long time ago. I
We
just
could
know that
go through it.
Dre's hands. I felt like Poole's hands weren't up though. That's for sure.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Dre lost his SHIT for sure. But thank you, Alan, for filling that in for us. That was important. But yeah, then so someone's making the point that he only got traded because the video got leaked. They never really found out how the video got leaked either, which is another interesting question.
Do you have any insight on that?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, there are companies that have practice footage. So I always thought it was probably a third party. It wasn't anybody in the organization specifically.
Oh, and they probably got paid for that, right? Big time. TMZ.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lot more people than just the Warriors have their hands in the footage of the practice. So that's my mind. But I've heard that that's not the case, and somebody did leak it, but I don't know. I have no insight into that.
Some of it is, I'm sure Draymond wants somebody to blame within the Warriors organization outside of himself. So I'm sure his narrative would be that somebody leaked it from them.
Like let the footage out, show Poole pushing him first. Is that what you mean? And then
No, I mean that he's going to say he got mad when the footage got leaked and he blamed it kind of like on the Warriors.
Yeah, it's a real interesting question. So, but I think that was an interesting point. It probably ended the dynasty, whatever. Although dynasty was kind of in a weird flux because it had been years before it was a surprise win. But you're right. It was they were light years ahead. So, they were on their way. It did feel for a moment there. Maybe it was excessive pride, and they shouldn't have talked out a term like that and said light years. But it did feel like they were on their way to doing something there where, they could have prolonged this and continue to go on. Meanwhile, you're looking at what who they've been trying to develop with, like Kuminga hasn't developed well. Moses Moody hasn't developed as well as they could have yet. And so there's a big Warriors fan contingency that's upset with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyhow, what else should we talk about Jimmy as we wrap up?
Yeah, let's wrap up with Jimmy.
I've got 120 clips of Jimmy Butler playing.
Yeah, I mean, he's not playing to the best of his ability.
Well, and when I say I have 120 that I picked out, that means I've watched 1,000, 500. I don't know how many, but it's a lot. My eyes are bleeding. So Jimmy,
you're about to do a video, I assume.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a video. I'm gonna drop today, tomorrow, or probably tomorrow.
Do you see Jimmy Butler in your head at night when you do videos like this, like before you go to sleep?
Strangely enough, no, even though I would have thought that would have happened with this one because I've been staring at it for several days now. But my question was, it's like, did he give up? Is he not like playing hard? And I have some insights. I have some takes after watched a lot. I have a hot take. I guess we can reserve it for the end of the show. Should I drop it now?
You already got the Jokic is the GOAT take, which is pretty hot. I gotta go grab that one and put it on Instagram.
Okay, do that. But I got a hotter take maybe. I don't know. I'm worried. I don't know. I don't know if my relationships will be endangered by saying this, but I have a feeling that one of the reasons why Jimmy Butler wants to get traded is because he doesn't want to play alongside Tyler Hero.
It's not. I don't think that's a hot take.
Okay, it's not.
Yeah. I mean, I think Jimmy has certain guys he likes on the team and certain guys he doesn't like and that don't get along. And I think that was even when things were good,
right. Yeah, I mean, let's not forget he's gotten into altercations on the bench publicly with Spoelstra. We see that maybe a couple of years ago. But I wonder if, because here's the thing about Jimmy. So I went through, those games against the Pelicans and against the Pacers. And can you see he certainly goes to the weak side corner, weak side dunker spot, just stands there, And you compare that to a game where he had 33 against the Mavericks earlier in the season. It's like, oh my God, it's night and day. And you have to imagine that it's Jimmy's prerogative. He gets to decide where he wants to be in the offense. He's got carte blanche to do whatever he wants. So for sure, defensively, could not see one instance of him not playing proper defense. Right, he does that no matter what, which is great. He's a professional on that end. But also, he's not the guy that is so aggressive to the point of forcing bad shots. He will always be looking for his players, looking to set up guys, hitting nice cuts. He's always really good at that. He's been that way, right? And it's sort of let the game come to him. And when he does that, he's so good, he'll still get 30 points, right? But I could see a guy with that kind of mindset offensively playing alongside Hero and sort of not and being frustrated. I will say that, if you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, I mean, Hero is a guy who wants to be the best player on the team. You could tell, right? He's a guy that likes to get shots up. He actually got a lot better this year when it comes to his shot profile and overall play. He's definitely the best version of himself right now.
Yeah, and he's actually up to 40% from three, which is shocking because I think his shot selection from three is not great. But you have to justify it now because he's hitting an elite percentage, right? But I could also see how Jimmy, and I think they're clearly made the move toward Tyler, right? He's the guy. They don't want to extend Jimmy for a lot of reasons, and I get it. But when Jimmy sees that, and we've already seen that he hadn't been extended by the Bulls, and he requested a trade. That this is the thing where if you don't extend him, he wants to get traded. But he could probably see like, okay, they're going to Hero is the guy they want to go with. I might necessarily like playing alongside him on offense, and so I definitely want to get out there. So I think that there's a percentage of him that is related to that. And I don't know if I blame him because as a coach, I like guys. They had a nice thing going when they had Strus and they had Lowry and they had Robinson. They had there was a lot of ball movement. It was like really great. And Bam was facilitating in the high post. I don't feel like they're getting that same mojo anymore. And I could see why that's going to be enough to get Jimmy out of there.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot to it, and I do think a lot of it is his beef with Pat Riley, right? I think that's a big part of it, and Pat Riley runs things there, and they're both being petty. The Miami Heat are not only suspending him, they're telling the public exactly what he's doing, like missing flights, which is interesting, different, new. Not every NBA team does that when they suspend their players. So
yeah, I guess they mentioned the flights. I mean, some of the details we got, I think, were from some former players who just must be texting or something. Others, but yes, they are. Even the thing when they said, they threw him under the bus a couple times with some of their, with the trade requests. And, obviously Pat Riley is behind that because he can't stand the notion of him going public with all of this. But what happened? You became blurry all of a sudden.
Yeah, it'll come back.
Your camera is blurry.
It'll come back.
All right, we have another super chat to get to before we wrap up. So thanks so much from MF Soups from Mexico. Mil gracias para los pesos. Is it Los Pesos or Los Pesos? He says, I like Mac McClung, but how can the NBA fumble the plans for that week? We want all-star dunkers, not rookies. An all-star game should be U.S. versus the world. That would be cool. I wouldn't mind that. And they'll probably get to that at some point. I feel like we saw that. Didn't they do that at one point or no? U.S. versus no?
No, but they should do professional dunkers.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's played out. I think that maybe not. It's not worth doing anymore, honestly. Although I probably had said that right before Aaron Gordon did his thing against Zach LaVine, and then that was the most amazing one we've ever seen. But can we get that again?
Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine back?
Well, no, but there's something is as creative as that because that was insane, right? Even now, and Mac McClung is great. Jordan Kilgannon is great. Like you want to get those guys out there. I suppose.
But Mac is really in the league, and Jordan isn't. That's the biggest difference, right?
That's true too. I just don't know. I don't know what you do anymore. Dunking has become kind of commonplace, right? It used to be a really rare thing, and even like in the high schools, everyone dunks now, and it's like it doesn't have that same thrill because we've seen it so much. It's just natural. Same.
Do you think it's a social media era where we could see the best dunks all over the world all of the time?
Yeah, that's part of it. I mean, I was thinking the one you can do for the dunk contest was you have to recreate famous dunks, and then
they've done that. I think they've done that. They've tried that.
They tried that. All right.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't pay, if you haven't figured out much, I don't pay attention to the All-Star weekend much at all. I don't think anymore. So I probably won't be watching it. But the All-Star game itself, you could totally do, Jokic, Giannis, all those guys against KD and LeBron. That'd be fun.
Oh yeah, for the game, yeah, that would be fun.
And then Elam Ending, did wonders for that one time they did it. So
I think actually that would get Steph, KD, and LeBron to play really hard.
Probably. I mean, something.
Yeah, they don't want to lose to the world. But
right, it's like in the Pro Bowl for the NFL. It's like flag football now, I think, right? Because and I don't blame them. Who wouldn't want to play football after the season, and get all banged up again? I get it. And this is the same idea. No one wants to get banged up and hurt or whatever. And no one ever.
Flag football is about to be an Olympic sport.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, my son's really into flag football. Maybe he can be a coach for the Olympic team. There you go.
Maybe he'll play.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but we shall see. At any rate, what else? I think that's. I think we kind of covered what we need to cover today.
Yeah, that's good. That was a good show.
Yeah, I'm starving. I guess Panda Express is in my future.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. If you haven't known, we've talked about my Panda Express obsession, right? The problem I didn't know. I usually don't go there after noon. It has to be before noon on any given day, but I might have to break my rule.
Okay.
Because after that, it's like the food's just sitting there a lot longer, a lot of the time. But maybe I'll catch a good when the food coming out fresh, and whenever I'll get some fresh batch.
Maybe just wait outside Panda Express and see when the food comes in.
Yeah, right. And then walk in. You can wait. You can say I'll wait for the new batch, but sometimes it can take a while. At any rate, and by the way, if you do that, if they get really low and you can wait for the new batch, then they'll give you a free drink. Pro tip. At least the one. In my house.
So what's your go-to meal?
But you know what? It's so much better than any other of the fast food Chinese places. And think about it. It's white rice, steamed white rice. It's I get broccoli and beef, but broccoli. I get the kung pao chicken. So it's chicken and just some vegetables. It's it's gluten free. It's it's what's wrong with that? Come on now, Turbo.
Somebody's giving you a problem in the comment section.
Yeah. Yeah,
what'd they say? What'd they say?
Well, there's that, and then there's all caps. It's aggressive out here. But
okay,
I think for fast food, it's obviously because McDonald's and all stuff is horrible, and it's the most processed you can imagine. There is some fresh, and the only problem I have is they put a little bit too much sauce, and I feel like they're adding more and more sauce, more and more. I could just get the chicken and the vegetables and the beef and the broccoli. Perfect.
The healthiest fast food is probably Dig In or Sweet Green.
Dig In? I don't even know what that place is.
I mean, they give you like potatoes and a piece of salmon or a piece of roasted chicken. Or
they're not putting MSG in the food, like, are they? I'm assuming that if MSG is when you put your own soy sauce on it. But
no, I mean most Chinese food is made with MSG. I'm not sure about Panda.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But if it's any consolation, and I'm my back was really bad. I finally what solved my back problems, Combo?
What, stretching?
Doing nothing. So for months and months and months, I was doing everything, and I was making it worse. So I finally did nothing for now 2 months. My back feels great.
I'm reading a book about Charlie Munger, and he didn't really exercise. He lived late. He lived till 99.
Okay.
I'm not going to take that route. I mean, I exercise often.
I'm listening to a book about the subconscious, and they argue that you can control your subconscious and heal yourself. And I'm intrigued by this whole notion of like what happens in your body, what you can do to control it and whatever. And I don't know.
Also, I mean, there's scientific evidence what you believe will make it so.
Right.
So
it can't actually messing with my back because I've had Panda Express, a lot recently. I get there like once a week, but anyway, if it's any consolation to people out there. I usually don't finish it. That's my new thing now. I'll save a quarter. I won't eat a quarter of it.
So yeah, this book, The Expectation Effect, where if you think you're doing exercise, if two people are doing the exact same amount of exercise during their jobs, right? It's not really exercise. And one realizes that they're doing exercise during their jobs. Yeah, they'll see more benefits from the exercise because they know they're exercising. Like that's a real thing. There's
another thing about that where they picture themselves exercising. There's something weird.
Yes.
And that's that subconscious mind as well. If you want to believe in like wizards or like superheroes, whatever, people in the past have had these powers, it could very well be this, as far as I can tell. Like maybe it's some sort of weird subconscious thing that they train and they can do and they can control. Because remember, it's not a spoon.
Wisdom.
Do you know what that is?
No idea.
You don't know what "it's not a spoon" refers to? Of course, we have the big gaps of knowledge of movies. Do you ever see a movie called The Matrix?
I've seen it, but so long ago.
Okay, so when the kid bends the spoon and Neo was trying to figure out how he does that, and the answer is there is no spoon.
I do know I am the one because I believe I am the one, and what you believe will make it so.
Right. He heard what he needed to hear at that moment, which was that he wasn't the one until he was.
Wisdom at the end of the B-Ball Breakdown live show.
I need a little chime. I don't have a chime. Oh well. Well, I'll bring it.
Where's the soundboard? We gotta step things up, Coach Nick. We got to keep getting better every episode.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, right. I have, but I don't have. Did you hear that?
That was cool.
I don't, here. All right. I don't have any. I don't have a little.
Do you think we need to? We've been doing this 5 years, Coach Nick, and we have the same outlay. We gotta start picking things up. We gotta start getting better.
Yeah, but we haven't been doing this for 5 years.
Probably close to it, Coach Nick.
Really?
I'd say 3 or 4. Yeah.
Oh man, crazy. And Johnny wants to know if we both know how to use chopsticks. I am an expert chopstick user. In fact, I use them at Panda Express. I request chopsticks and I use them there.
I look ridiculous trying to use a chopstick. I'll go like this.
Oh, that's shame on you. You know what you can do is you roll the thing the paper that comes in, and then use rubber bands, and then you can do that. That'll get you going in the beginning. But then you got to learn how to use chopsticks, man. Don't be a barbarian. All right,
I've been called a barbarian.
Food in there, it's like you got to be able to use chopsticks. Anyway.
When it comes to my eating, I've been called a barbarian. Sometimes.
All right. Well, Lonzo was not snubbed. I mean, he'll get on the All Star team. He's having a ridiculous year, but it's got that whole Gunner on a bad team vibe. Unfortunately,
you mean LaMelo? You're talking about LaMelo.
Oh, he said Lonzo, and I mean LaMelo. I meant LaMelo. I'm assuming he meant LaMelo. We all mean LaMelo, right? We're all LaMelo. So LaMelo's.
I mean, his
won't start.
Jello has one of the biggest hip hop songs out right now for a while now.
Oh, on this other, when I was joining Dom 2K on his playback things, they were all making fun of me because I hadn't heard the thing and they wanted me to hear it. And so they played it for me and I was kind of grooving to it. It's a good song.
Tweaker. Yeah.
That's what it's called? Tweaker?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They should, Kendrick Lamar should bring him out for the Super Bowl.
But that's the wrong sport. How about...
What do you mean wrong sport? This is transcending basketball, Coach Nick.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. LiAngelo, it's a basketball player. But how about the All Star game? Get him to perform there.
That's a good idea too.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's probably already in the works, right? If the ball,
I'm sure he signed I think an $8 million deal to I forget with who.
I mean, that's a lot of talent, by the way, right? The guy is good enough to almost play in the NBA. And he can put together a song if he did himself, and that's
LeVar predicted it. He said, all 3 of them aren't going to make the NBA. He said,
really?
Yeah. There's a clip of this. He's like, Lonzo and LaMelo will make it, but Jello, he's going to be the world's greatest rapper. He literally said this.
And you know what that is? That's the power of the subconscious mind.
Yeah,
right there. You can be your future, see your future, be the ball combo, be the ball. You don't know that reference either. That's too bad. Look up Be the Ball.
That's why I'm going to be the greatest conversationalist interviewer to ever live.
There you go. That's how you start. By the way, when I train shooters, I always say, are you a good shooter? And a lot of times, especially the younger guys, they'll say, yeah, no, I'm not really. I'm like, and I just go, are you a good shooter? And they look at me like, are you a good shooter? And then finally, like, yeah. I'm like, okay. Now we can go somewhere, right? Because you can't be a good shooter until you own it and you have the language that you are a good shooter. You have to at least start from somewhere. You don't have to be like amazing. Like, we're not talking about Steph or Clay. We're talking about where you are at this point in your journey. You're good. And we're going to go from there. I tell you one thing, you ain't going to be a good shooter if you're telling yourself you're not.
It's true.
So,
I agree.
This is the whole thing needs to be on IG.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're spitting facts and wisdom. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think I'm hungry. I got to go. And I got to go to my kid's game soon. So great stuff. Thank you all for being out there. Thanks for the super chats. We'll be back again on Monday, if not sooner, to do this all over again with a great crowd out there. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Combo, as always.
Yes, sir. I'll see you next Monday or maybe before then.
But yeah, you can't say yes, sir, yet. You got to save that.
Oh, I can say yes, sir, twice.
Here we go. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel. We're a conversation. You in? Are you in, Combo?